It's interesting because I say it's okay to stop preparing. And even though I've spent a lot of days, weeks, years probably reworking and re-preparing the same ideas, this video is completely unscripted. But why? Why do I feel the need for it to be scripted and like for it to be perfect, you know? I think that sometimes I'm afraid of, sounding like I don't know what I'm talking about. Or maybe I really don't know what I'm talking about. And if I'm not scripted, I can't reread and make it more perfect. Do you even, or do you sometimes feel like when you're talking to someone, or even whether it's a friend or at work, you're like explaining something, but then you say, oh, well, if I could write it down, I'd be a lot more coherent. I might sound a bit smarter. I can explain myself a little better if I could just sit down and write it out, because I write better than I speak, And that's true. I can see how that's true because we don't have the time to really analyze what we're saying. But part of me feels like it could be a lack of trust in my own thoughts and myself. I think that it can be tied to self-doubt, insecurities, and inferiority. But maybe you can relate. But I don't know. When I say this, like, maybe someone listening, or maybe you listening, can think or might think, maybe you're just being too hard on yourself. Like, you sound fine. What you're saying is interesting to talk to, I say this because if I heard someone like feeling this way or thinking this way, that's what I would think. I would give them the benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt doesn't even fit here, but I'm not going to edit it out because it's not scripted, and it's okay. That's what I mean. Like, maybe I'll say something that doesn't make any sense, and that wasn't very smart, but that's okay. I think that oftentimes we don't give ourselves the same grace that we give others. Like, if others made mistakes, unless you're very judgmental, which I guess that's fine too, but I feel like it's so much easier to be forgiving of other people. That said, that feeling of needing to be prepared all the time, I don't know about you, but even just thinking about this, like my YouTube and my art, I started art when I was in high school, so many years ago, and I've started YouTube many, many times. Even though I've been an artist on and off, but really on for a big part of my life, most part of the last maybe 6 years, more steadily. There's this still feeling of like, oh, it needs to be more perfect. My skills need to be better before I can post anything. Even drawing this, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not good at full body anatomy, so I can't draw this idea that I have. And even still, like, even though my brain is saying the anatomy is wrong, the sketch is very rough and all that, it's like, of course it is. It's a sketch, and it doesn't have to be perfect for me to put it out there. And I realize, as I've been organizing my Notion, my online, my digital planner, all that stuff, I'm like thinking, oh, let me think about the art that I want to do. Let me think about how I want to improve it. Let me think about the video that I want to do. Think. And it's not only with this art, it's like with everything. Everything that I want to decide on or I want to do, it's like, well, let me overthink about this first. And then kind of anxiety comes along with it. And I get stuck in analysis paralysis. Have you heard of that phrase? You probably have, especially if you can relate to something like this, especially if you clicked in wondering, is it really okay to stop preparing? It is. Maybe you're like, oh, well, of course. But I think when I first heard analysis paralysis, I liked it because it rhymed. But that's besides the point. You know, we spend so much time analyzing. How should I do this? How should I do that? Thinking, and then it causes us to be paralyzed. Whether that's paralyzed with wanting to be so perfect that we can't even try to put something out there that's not. The fear, like we think, oh, but we're thinking past the results, we're thinking past finish. Well, what if I finish this and it's not successful? What if I finish this and it was a waste of time? Like, what's the point of doing this? I'm not even good enough, or it's not going to work out. Or what if it does work out and then like I don't even know how to react? I can't even imagine that. And you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be about art, but just with anything in life, you know. And I think a lot of the times things like you stop yourself, I stop myself, we stop ourselves from doing things because we're afraid of like it succeeding. We're afraid to check. We're afraid to try. I don't know, like the story I'm thinking of right now is like when I got accepted into college, like I did all the hard work. I did everything I had to do to try to get into the school. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, right? But on the day of announcements where they let us know whether we got in or not, like I remember being kind of sad. Like there was nothing else I could do at that point, right? And I stayed in school really late doing tutoring. And I didn't check. I did not want to check, even though it was out. I could have checked it online. But I kind of went home thinking, oh, I'm not going to get this, you know? I don't even know. I think it was like an empty feeling. I think I had resigned myself that there's just no way that I could have gotten into this school. And I didn't check. But when I got home, I went, the first thing that we do when we get home is you walk in the door and go to the bathroom because it's a long commute. You have to go. But I'm sitting on the toilet and I had grabbed there was a giant envelope. It had my name on it. It was from the school, but for some reason I didn't think much of it. You know, like maybe it's the rejection letter. But I really had. So I sit down and I open up the letter, and I wasn't expecting anything, but it said, you know, congratulations, or like welcome to, you know, Columbia University or whatever it is. And I'm like screaming, oh my gosh, I got in. And my mom runs in while I'm still in the bathroom with the spatula in her hand because she was cooking, and she starts screaming like, oh my goodness. It's a very vivid memory, and maybe I can share more about things like that or expand on it later. But the reason I'm thinking of that moment is because it makes me think about how we keep success, when we keep happiness away from us. That obviously I was gonna check it. I would have found out eventually, but let's say it's a scenario where I never checked it. Similar scenarios where success, all this hard work, all the hard work that you put into this, and you stop yourself from seeing, from checking, from walking past the point where you would find out if you were gonna succeed or not. Everything else, nothing else is in your control. Things are gonna happen. Yet you cannot take that chance to just check the email or That's a small example, but just to move forward, just to just do and see what happens on the other side. And I think it relates to this whole notion of where we keep working hard, we keep preparing, we keep overthinking, yet we're not taking that step to see then what would actually happen. Because maybe you've already succeeded at what you've been preparing for. The future is set. You've already succeeded. But because you won't stop preparing, you'll never find out. So if you can relate to this, my hope for you is that maybe today, maybe now, you stop researching. You stop writing out the pros and cons. You stop doubting yourself. You stop wanting it to be perfect. And just do it. Just check. Just put something out there. Thank you for listening and hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And that was totally how I would end a work meeting. I'm tired. This is the end of the video. Bye.